At the time of the following strange incident in 2005, Janis Heaphy Durham was a publisher at the Sacramento Bee newspaper. She considered herself a sceptic when it came to anything paranormal. That is, until her husband Max passed away. What she saw made her question her previously held views about life beyond death. On Sunday, March the 8th, 2005, Janis was walking to the kitchen in a home in Sacramento to make herself a snack and stopped in the bathroom in the guest bedroom. She suddenly noticed a handprint in the mirror that was not there an hour earlier when she was brushing her hair. It had simply appeared out of nowhere. She stood frozen to the spot for at least a minute and could make no sense of it at all. In all her 53 years, she had never experienced anything that made her question reality. She realized she was staring at something that was totally unexplainable and wondered whether she was losing her mind. Had someone somehow entered the house to play a trick? But her son Tanner and she would have noticed if anyone had opened the patio door. It was a large handprint, but did not look like an ordinary handprint, but appeared to be made of a soft, white, powdery substance, and the actual bone structure made it look like an X-ray. She then drew closer to the handprint and could see that it was the hand of a man, as the fingers and palm had a masculine shape. Janis just looked at the handprint in the mirror that was perfectly formed. To make matters spookier, seemed to appear out of nowhere. Janis was both startled and curious and wondered where the hell it could have come from. She thought, how could a human hand show the transparency of an X-ray? Strangely though, the handprint appeared to be the accumulation of other strange things that had been happening around the house, such as unexplainable flickering lights and the clock stopping the moment Max died. Janis was talking about her husband Max Besler, who had died in the living room exactly 1 year to the day. She then asked her 14-year-old son Tanner to come into the bathroom and asked whether he had placed his hand on the mirror, and was thinking to herself whether she was now becoming a bit hysterical. However, for her own peace of mind, she asked Tanner to hold his right hand up next to the powdered right handprint, so as to compare them both. She found that the handprint on the mirror was much larger and the hand was a different shape. They both just stared at the handprint and were speechless, and then slowly turned their heads to face each other. Were they both witnessing something paranormal? They could not comprehend what they were looking at, and immediately searched for answers. Tanner was equally confused and frightened, asking his mother, where did it come from, as he turned back to look at the handprint. She tried to remain calm for her son, but had to admit she had no idea where it came from. She searched her mind for answers, and then said, do you think this may be related to Max because today is the anniversary of his passing? They'd only been married for 4 years when he'd been diagnosed with esophageal cancer at the age of 56, and her son was devastated, and even though Max was his stepfather, they were very close. Tanner thought about his mother's question and asked, how could Max make the handprint if he's not alive? Janis realised she had to remain calm, but continued to be inquisitive. She told her son to go outside and shoot some hoops to take his mind off of it. Janis then grabbed a camera and took several photographs so as to document the strange event. She later wished she'd taken a sample of the powdery substance to have it analysed or have a proper forensic examination of the fingerprints, but at the time she was too emotional and it hadn't occurred to her. She continued to ask herself the question of the timing of the handprint showing up on Max's death, and he was trying to reach out to her and maybe let her and Tanner know that he was okay. She remembered exactly what her husband's hand looked like, and the handprint on the mirror compared very closely with the shape of Max's hands. Janis had absolutely no explanation for the strange phenomenon, and it did not fit in with the traditional Presbyterian values with what she grew up with, and the fact that her father was a minister devoted to his particular faith, which would not have fitted in with anything paranormal. Janis herself did not share her father's traditional values, where her thinking was less restricted somewhat, and her faith was not essential to her life, and what had happened did not have a simple explanation relating to heaven or the afterlife. She felt she had experienced a completely different dimension and was confused by the mystery. She asked herself whether he was a ghost, and the fact that he had died in the home could mean he was still around. Was he trying to give her a message that there was more to life, and had he figured out a way to communicate with her? Nevertheless, Janis was still frightened because she was entering the unknown. She could also not dwell on the incident or be distracted. Instead, she compartmentalized the curious event and put it aside when she was in a better frame of mind. And the most important fact was that she had a son to raise. At the time of the incident, Janis was publisher and president of the Sacramento Bee and was a public figure, and her life was under the microscope, and she did not want any criticism that could emanate from disclosing such a strange event, so she kept it private. She did not know what to do with the handprint and just left it on the mirror and discussed it with her housekeeper, Helen Dennis. Helen had been close to her husband and also helped him through his illness, and she felt she was part of the family, and Janis trusted her. After showing Helen the handprint, she was amazed but calm, and they just stared at it together. They both still wondered whether it was a sign from Max, since it did appear on his anniversary, but the fact that it had been there for 3 days, she saw no reason to keep it any longer and told Helen to clean it off. Helen duly moved the print with Windex, but said it did not remove easily and had to really scrub. Although Janis remarried in 2008, strange things continued to happen, such as a strange footprint appearing on a bed at their holiday home, and the carpet would move by itself. On the 2nd anniversary of his death, powdery images again appeared on the mirror, and on the 3rd anniversary, another handprint appeared. In hindsight, Janis said that it was a powerful image that left an indelible imprint on her mind, and went on to write a book about her experience called The Hand on the Mirror, a true story of life beyond death.